Now, a lot of times when somebody thinks about joining the United States Army, they think they're going to be doing something like this. Go! And if that's something you want to do, then sure, you could do that. But did you know that you could potentially do something like this? So stick around, because there's some Army MOSs and some jobs in the Army that I want to talk about that are outside of your normal jobs. What's up, my friends? U.S. Army veteran Christopher Chaos, and today I want to kind of cover some jobs that some people just don't even know about, right? These are jobs that are probably a lot harder to get, not something you can just easily get. And in fact, some of these jobs that I'll talk about are extremely hard to get and something you have to kind of already get into the Army doing something else first and then try to get into this job. But we'll kind of cover some of the ins and outs of like some of these MOSs, and I've got 5 specifically that I want to cover. Before we get into that first one though, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, including the bell, so you get alerts as soon as new videos go live, to include the live streams and not miss any more Army content from yours truly. So let's get into this. When I was initially going to join the United States Army, I wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to go into the Army, work on vehicles, but because I had a partial color blindness, that eliminated my option for being able to do that. So I just kind of went into something just to get the military experience. And then while being in the Army, I developed an interest for creating stuff like this, doing video stuff, doing photography, doing, whatever in that kind of realm type of thing. And then later discovered that's actually a job that you could do in the Army. There's a couple different MOSs. For example, there's a 46 Sierra and there's also a 25 Victor, and they each have kind of different kinds of roles, but that's individuals that are working with like being on the radio. They have an actual military radio station called AFN, Armed Forces Network, and they have AFN radio. So those are soldiers that are the radio disc jockeys. They also have some television stuff, right? Mainly it's like an overseas thing where they have like news and everything. You can still access it from the stateside too though, but you're doing like news stories. Maybe you're an on-air news anchor, you're a reporter, that kind of a thing. Or you could be even more of a behind the scenes kind of person that's shooting the video, preparing the news stories, getting the photographs for the news article to be able to post on online media. So there's a lot of different roles in that area that these soldiers will do. Sometimes it depends on the unit you're assigned to, as far as if you're in the more of like a online media kind of role, or kind of creating the stories, or if you're in a role that's being, on the radio and on TV or in videos kind of a thing for video packages. So a lot of times it might depend on the unit you're assigned to. I know it's a lot more common, like if you're overseas, they'll be like in the radio position maybe, or like the television position, and then maybe stateside it might be more of like online media. It really just kind of depends. But that could potentially be an actual job that you could do in the Army to actually be in video, be in radio, doing photography, doing video packages, all that kind of stuff. I'll actually link down below in the description box an individual I've seen on YouTube that was in the Army as a 25 Victor, and he's got a lot of videos kind of on the subject and everything. So maybe if you are interested in that kind of a thing, maybe check out his videos. He's got quite a bit of informative videos on that specific MOS. Moving to the next one is a pretty cool one. It's new and it's not exactly a specific MOS, but it is a job that you could do in the Army, and that is being a video game player, playing video games, being an esports entertainer, being on the Army esports team. Now, like I said, you cannot join the Army to do this, so don't expect that to be an MOS that you can go and like, hey, talk to my recruiter, can I get this MOS? It's not an MOS, it's a specific role. So you're gonna have to join the Army, it's something you're interested in, hopefully, get into the Army, and then try to apply for it. Now, be aware, it is very limited on slots, things like 8 or 10 or 15, it's not a lot. There's not a whole lot of slots that they are taking for soldiers to do this, so it's extremely competitive and completely a hard thing to get into. But if you are a great video game player, maybe you have a little bit of personality to where you could be entertaining on camera to represent the Army esports team, then maybe you have a good chance. Don't think it's something like, I like playing video games and maybe I'll just apply to do that. They're probably not looking for someone that just likes playing video games. They're looking for someone that's good at playing video games and also has a little bit of personality, that can be on camera, can talk to people because they have a lot of interaction with individuals. So they're looking for those kind of people. Some of you out there might be thinking, what's the point of that? Why on earth is there a dedicated job in the Army to playing video games? Well, it's kind of a recruiting tool, right? It's kind of designed to be maybe a approachable person than simply an Army recruiter. So they build their online presence, get people interested in the Army by watching soldiers play video games, even going to competitions and playing, different games in these competitions, but then also talking to individuals to tell them about the United States Army. They do receive like limited recruiter training. They're actually not recruiters, but they do have some of that training to be able to answer questions, kind of get them, get the process kind of going with the individual thinking about joining the Army. But to actually get someone in the Army, that has to get pushed off to an Army recruiter. But that's kind of the intent, is that way these younger individuals that maybe are a little reluctant to want to go talk to an Army recruiter, but they see this person that's playing video games and that's something they're interested in, so that it feels like more of an approachable person. They can go up to them, talk to them about the Army, talk to them about video games, and then maybe get the ball rolling to get them to go talk to an Army recruiter to join the United States Army. Now, it's not like a full-time kind of thing where you can like do this and then just keep on doing it for 20 plus years and retire out of the Army after playing video games. And I think it's like a requirement of like only like 2 years, 3 years. It's not your entire Army career you can do this. So if you were awesome enough to get selected for this, you would get to do that for however many amount of years and then probably have to go back to doing your Army MOS or get out of the Army. So keep that in mind. Don't go just picking any crappy MOS just because you think you're gonna get into this and then you're gonna do that for forever. Now, eventually you might have to go back to that crappy MOS, so make sure you pick a good MOS. Here's another one you can do in the Army, kind of similar to the Army esports team, and that is the World Class Athlete Program. And I mean similar as in, it's not something you can join the Army to do. This would be something where you're already gonna have to come in the Army, whatever MOS it is you're interested in, and then apply for the World Class Athlete Program. Now, what is the World Class Athlete Program, you might be asking? Well, that is basically playing like Olympic level type of sports, right? You wanna do weightlifting, you wanna do, track and field, you wanna do a lot of the sports that are basically in the Army, either in the Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics. That's the kind of sports they're usually kind of targeting that they do at the World Class Athlete Program. So you get into the Army, you're in great shape, maybe you're really good at one of these sports and everything, you apply for it, and if you get accepted, you actually get moved over to Fort Carson, Colorado, and that's where the actual program kind of is housed at. It's a great location because that's also where the Olympic team is at, so that way if these individuals qualify for the Olympics, because there are individuals that have gone off to the Olympics, and I think there's even some that have received medals from the Olympics, from the World Class Athlete Program, and then gone off to the Olympics and gotten the medal, but the Olympic Training Center is in Colorado Springs, just outside of Fort Carson, so this allows them to kind of also train with like people that are trained for the Olympics type of thing. But they also do other events too. I mean, they do the Olympics, they also do some other like maybe, local events or events in the United States or whatever to, compete in those. So you're basically showing up to work, working out, practicing your thing, and then, hopefully competing in the Olympics, hopefully. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if there's a time limit on it. I think if there is, it's a pretty long one, but this might be one that if you got your foot in the door and got into this program, you might be allowed to do this for like the rest of your Army career and then possibly retire from doing that type of program as long as you're still able to compete at that level. But I'll also link down below, there's a link that I've got that'll actually send you over to the World Class Athlete Program site that shows all the events that you could possibly try to compete inside of, and it has the application to apply. But again, just remember, this is not something you can join the Army as. You have to already get into the Army and then apply for the program. I got 2 more to kind of cover, but before we move on, if you want to support the channel, I got some links down in the description box for like affiliate links and everything. One of them being this pretty cool soap. I got some different type of soaps in here. This is like a soldier battlefield one that smells pretty good. You got like Space Force right here, and you've got this Marine one that has a great red crayon kind of smell. No, I'm just kidding. They all smell great. You actually get like a 6-pack and stuff, so check out the link down below. So the next one that I want to talk about is you can actually be a veterinarian in the Army. Now, this one is only for officers, so you have to be, a college-educated individual. You're gonna have to get that bachelor's degree. You have to do OCS, go to, ROTC, whatever the case is going to be, to get that college education, so that you can come in as an officer to be this specific MOS. That Army MOS is a 46 Alpha, and that is an officer MOS. So the tough thing about like officers is that you don't usually get to pick your exact MOS. So it may be a little bit risky, right? Usually the people that get to pick their MOSs or pick their fields are people that do really well in like ROTC and OCS, that kind of a thing. Then they might be able to do that. And then it also depends on just availability, right? If this MOS is over strength, it may be one that just simply isn't available. Even though you scored really well in ROTC or OCS, you can't get it because it's over strength or they don't have any open slots for you. But potentially you could talk to an Army recruiter about those kind of options and talk to them about wanting to be a veterinarian in the Army. Is what these individuals do is there is like service dogs, there's working dogs, right? You have like the, was it 31 Kilo that actually has like drug sniffing dogs and bomb sniffing dogs and everything that kind of work with military police to be able to do that kind of a thing. Well, those dogs need care, and rather than taking them off post to some civilian veterinarian, they take them to this Army officer that is a veterinarian. The service can also be used for like family members too. I believe like if you live on post or you're in the military, there's ways that sometimes you can use their services to treat like your family pet too. So that's their role. They do other things outside of just being a veterinarian. They also do like some different research for different things that are kind of in their job field. So it's a pretty high speed kind of a thing, you know? So if you're someone that wants to work with pets and work with animals, don't mind getting a college education and having that, you know, experience to be able to try to get into that type of field, then that might be an option for you. Most of my content is geared towards enlisted soldiers, so it may be limited for some of you guys out there, but who knows, right? If that is something you thought would be really cool to do in the Army, to be a vet, or maybe on the civilian side you want to be a vet, but now you know that you can do it in the Army, then maybe this is something to look into. Now, one last one that I'll kind of mention inside of these 5 that I wanted to kind of bring up is, did you know that this is an actual MOS in the Army? You can join the Army to play in a band. Now, it may not be awesome like you're playing in a heavy metal band or a specific type of genre of music type of band. You're going to be playing music they want you to play for different types of events, for different types of morale things, for like, you know, playing cover songs for, you know, keeping people's morale up type of thing, and a lot of other kind of environments. But you could join the Army to be a musician. This specific MOS is a 42 Romeo, and that is a musician in the Army. Now, this one can be definitely a challenging one to get into as well. Most of the people, if not all of the people that are in this MOS, probably have like a college degree in music, right? They've studied music. They're that good to be able to get into this MOS because there's an audition to even get into it. So it's not something like you're like, yeah, I play in this, you know, cover band. That'd be pretty cool. Or yeah, I play guitar here and there. You know, I know a few cool songs and stuff, you know, that I've learned from the internet. No, you're probably going to have to be pretty damn skilled in playing music and understanding music to get into this. But hey, maybe that's you, right? Maybe you are someone that's in that kind of, you know, environment where, yeah, I know how to read music, I know how to write music, I know how to understand music theory and everything involved, and I have performed, you know, at events, I've performed on stage, I've performed whatever kind of a thing, so I have experience doing that. Sure, this would be a great MOS for you. So individuals that are trying to get into that MOS will have to go through like an interview process. They have to do like an audition to make sure that this person is a well-established individual that knows how to play that instrument. And then if they meet all those requirements and they pass the interview, they pass the audition, then sure, you can come in the United States Army and be a musician. These soldiers travel around a lot. I think they can actually rank up pretty damn quick too. I think it usually ends up being an automatic promotion to like E4 to E5 or something like that, but they rank up pretty quick. And they travel around a lot doing these different ceremonies, doing different, you know, performances, and overseas travel to go to like other countries where we have soldiers stationed over there for performances and everything else. So you're just getting paid to be in the Army, to practice that instrument, to go around playing performances and everything, and just live the awesome musician life in the United States Army. Now, there's a lot of other probably pretty obscure types of jobs that people could do possibly in the United States Army. And if any of my viewers out there can think of maybe some, maybe drop them down in the comments section down below. Maybe other people can, you know, check out those comments and research some of that and look for something outside of maybe just the stereotype or the typical combat MOS that everybody kind of has the kind of like perspective of thinking about the United States Army. When someone brings up that I'm in the Army, they always think about like, oh, you must be in some kind of combat MOS. You must be doing that. And that's not always the case. Now, before you go leaving this video, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up, checking out the comments, and leaving a comment. That way you can help out the YouTube algorithm. If you want to see more of my content about the United States Army, I probably got a couple of videos that popped up. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so you can check out all of my videos and stay informed about the United States Army and be entertained. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Christopher Chaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.